Christopher Thompkins was last seen January of 2002 walking away from a survey job in a wooded area of Highway 85 in Ellerslie. Deputies continue to ask for tips in this case as they remain vigilant about learning what happened to Thompkins. If you have any information on this missing persons case, you're asked to call the Harris County Sheriff's Office or the GBI.
In this episode, we'll discuss the bizarre disappearance of Christopher Thompkins. Let's begin. On the morning of January 25th, 2002, 20-year-old Christopher Thompson left for his job as a surveyor. Christopher met up with the three members of his four-man surveyor team and went about their daily routine of survey work at an expansive lightly wooded area off County Line Road near Highway 85 in Ellerslie, Georgia. The team moved as a unit, each man spaced 50 feet apart in a line as they worked their way in the same direction through the forest. Christopher, who was the last in the line, was keeping regular communications with the others, and he and the man in front of him were within eyesight of each other. At one point, the surveyor in front glanced back toward Christopher, who had just been talking to him moments before, to find he had vanished. It didn't make any sense because he had just been there several seconds before, but now there was nothing, and nowhere he could have gone without being seen. The surveyor called the others and they searched the area, but what they discovered only made it even stranger. Nearby was one of Christopher's work boots hanging from a barbed wire fence, with no sign of the other boot. In a patch of grass next to the boot were his work tools, blue fabric from his work pants, and 12 cents. That was it, and it seemed as if Christopher had simply vanished out of existence. At 1 p.m., around 4 hours after Christopher disappeared, one of the other surveyors finally called their boss to say that Christopher had vanished. Christopher's mother was not told about the incident until 4:15 p.m. When a missing persons report was filed the next day, authorities were not able to find any additional clues as to what had happened to him. A more intensive search was launched, but nothing turned up until months later when the missing work boot was bizarrely found by chance on the private property of a man who lived 900 yards from where Christopher had gone missing. How did Christopher just go missing in practically the blink of an eye in full view, only to leave behind just one boot? Where could he have gotten to so fast, and why were there no other signs of him anywhere? The disappearance has long remained baffling, and as with many cases of people who have vanished into thin air, theories as to what happened to him have varied from the mundane to the truly bizarre. One of the first theories was that there had been some sort of foul play involved. After all, the surveyors with him did not report the disappearance for several hours, more than enough time for them to dispose of the body, allowing them to make up whatever story they liked. However, there was no motive at all for this, no evidence of foul play, and none of the other surveyors were ever seriously interrogated or investigated on the matter. There was also the theory that Christopher had simply walked off the job and run off to start a new life, a theory supported by his boss's claim that Christopher had been acting strangely in the days leading up to the vanishing. But his own mother adamantly denied this, saying, "Chris lived with me and I saw him every day." There was neither strange behavior on his part nor any distress. Many of his friends and family would insist that Christopher had been a well-adjusted, happy individual, and his co-workers painted a picture of a respectable, hard-working individual. There's also the question of, if he did walk away, then how did he manage to do it in full view of the others, and why did he do it minus one boot, and while leaving behind those other bizarre clues? Another theory was he might have been attacked by a wild animal, but if that were the case, wouldn't there be more evidence of a struggle or injury? And how could this possibly happen within moments and within eyesight of the other surveyor without him knowing? It just doesn't make any sense.
This was a 20-year-old young man who left home one morning to go to work. He was a part of a four-man survey crew that was working in the Harris County area. They were working in wooded areas out there. And 3 people came home and 1 did not. Chris simply vanished. And when I say vanished, I need y'all to listen to me. Chris simply vanished. Sometime that afternoon, the 3 individuals who were with Chris placed a call to 911 to say he vanished. Search dogs and Sheriff Jolly and the Harris County Sheriff's Department, they brought out whatever resources they had. We found one of Chris's boots out there? Yeah. Remember now, we found one of his boots that very day. We found some of his work tools and some change that they speculated or we think may have been from Chris's pocket. But maybe a week or 2 later, the Harris County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Jolly, told us that they believed Chris had just walked away. Said if a man gonna walk away, he wouldn't take off his boot to do so. He probably want to keep both of them on if he was gonna be walking.
Now, this is where we get into some of the more far-out theories that have made the rounds. One idea is that Christopher had seen something out there that he was not supposed to and was silenced by some mysterious party, with the authorities in on it all, explaining the lag time in informing the family. Even weirder still is the theory that some mysterious and very powerful force had actually picked him up and carried him off, with his belongings snagged on the fence as he was carried away. Ghosts? UFO? Bigfoot? Who knows? There are even the theories that the culprit could have been some sort of vortex, a rift between dimensions, or even the doings of ancient Native American spirits or curses from the days when the native Creek people were massacred and driven from these lands by encroaching settlers. Of course, there is no evidence whatsoever for any of these wild theories either, and they serve merely to add a layer of additional bizarreness to an already bizarre case. So, what happened to Christopher Thompkins? It remains a complete mystery. What are your thoughts on this case? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the first episode of this new series, make sure you hit that like button. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'll talk to you next time.